Hi, I'm Michael Sifo, and welcome to The Sober Thought. So anyway, the focus group has come together, the Fan Eye Labs have come together, and yeah, we're sticking with this format. But if you don't like it, learn to? I don't know. But in all seriousness, we finally get to talk about hockey. The one thing that hockey is known for is having some of the most unselfish athletes to ever play a sport. This bleeds into their off-ice interviews and even their Hall of Fame speeches. While many consider this boring, it's part of what makes hockey great. This is what people refer to as hockey culture. Hockey culture is a very complicated and complex topic to the point where people can argue that's a part of Canadian identity. But let's just focus on it from a marketing perspective. This is a part where I tell you that this video is going to have major chunks of it be focused on just solely Canadians alone. In Canada, hockey is considered the ultimate all about the team sport, where no matter how good you are, you don't try to make it about you. This is a sport where you are part of a team and no one is different from the team. You do not try to be an individual, and when you do, there are consequences. Everything you do on the ice is for the team. This is a large reason why hockey players followed, and in some parts still follow, the code. I don't know if anyone's noticed from my articles or topics we pick from the podcast, but I'm a big fan of hockey, and in particular the NHL. While the NHL is the least talked about out of the big four major professional sports leagues, it is still a part of the big four and deserves its moment of sun from time to time. I actually intend to talk about this topic before the NHL All-Star break, but then life happened. Anyway, much of hockey culture is good, really good. It's kind of the reason why hockey players tend to be polite despite the game being as hard-hitting as it is, and if you fit into the hockey culture mold, is what Don Cherry aspires for every Canadian hockey player to be: a good old Canadian boy.
There's Canada. Draft Canadians. Canadians are the best, and they'll always be the best, and they're like that kid. They love the Stanley Cup. We're the best.
However, hockey cultures have some problems with it, and it's killing the NHL's marketability. Let's first talk about hockey, not from the NHL point of view, but from a grassroots point of view. To fit into hockey culture, you probably have to be wealthy, or at the very least in the upper middle class. Hockey is a very expensive sport to play. In fact, it's the most expensive sport to play by a long shot. From an equipment perspective, it's the most expensive sport by far, and some of these registration fees are just off the wall crazy. Not to mention what happens when your kid becomes elite. You now have to ask yourself the question as a parent: can we send him or her to camp this year? Or how are we going to pay for AAA hockey? And this is the part where I tell you that CBC actually estimated that for one child to play AAA hockey, it costs them $8,000 to $15,000. And this is in stark contrast to the AAU basketball system, where the range of costs of playing ranged from $400 to about $4,000. In other words, this is an immediate red flag for any child who's in the middle class or the working class and wants to play hockey. Right then and there, the NHL has a class problem. To be blunt, let's just say that there's two children, and child A has more potential but is poorer, and child B is richer but has less potential. Child B is probably going to the NHL. Now, that's not always the case, and you do have to be good to actually play in the NHL. In fact, Jordan Tutu is an example of a kid from a not-so-wealthy family making it to the big leagues. However, Tutu is the exception and not the mean. So this begs the question: what if your kid who isn't as well off can play but cannot pay? Still, I'll concede that this is a problem for all sports in the Big Four and not just the NHL. Fees to play a sport at a high level are increasing, and that's a problem. However, NHL's fees are a little too steep, but let's just assume that every sport has this problem. Even things like Mark Messier's First Shift initiative.
Everybody remembers their first shift. Visit thefirstshift.ca to begin your hockey journey.
Is changing the conversation. So it's not all just about costs and fees. So then you're probably asking, Michael, what is the problem? Well, I'm glad you asked. To me, the main problem is a lack of cultural diversity. At the risk of sounding curt, you don't even have to look at a lot of stats. Just look at a game of hockey with your eyes and you can tell that there's a lack of cultural diversity. In other words, there's not enough representation of all ethnicities, and that's the main problem. Does that mean the NHL is racist? Absolutely not. Some fans are, but that's for every sport, and again, another video for another time. I'm just saying that there's a lack of diversity, and for people who aren't Caucasian, there aren't heroes to look up to. Now we are seeing it start to change with the likes of PK Subban, Wayne Simmons, Nazem Kadri, and much more. However, hockey needs to start using that sense of multiculturalism, and to be honest, it starts with marketing hockey culture. The NHL has this weird responsibility to emphasize the need of multiculturalism in hockey culture. They need to celebrate players like a Seth Jones and a Darnell Nurse. Also, players need to have more compelling pre- and post-game interviews, but don't worry about that. Multiculturalism is the key, because once that happens, then maybe, just maybe, hockey will get its moment in the sun. Now, in the past, arguments like the winter sports syndrome and issues at the grassroots level have been the excuses as to why the NHL is not talked about as much or more than the 3 other major sports leagues. Quite frankly, those arguments are compelling, but they're excuses and just that. Does the sport of hockey have to deal with obstacles? Yes, but so does every other sport. Basketball is considered a summer sport, but the NBA is marketed just fine in the winter. The NFL's reputation has been dragged through the mud in recent years, but the Super Bowl was still the most talked about sports event. And do you see what Blue Jay games are like in the playoffs?
The 1-1 from Tyson. Batista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
Fact is, the NHL has not built a culture where people feel included. Is it by accident? Yes, but it's still there. Despite hockey culture emphasizing the importance of a team, it's been twisted to accidentally exclude. But it's not too late. There's a saying, if you build it, they will come. So I think it's time to build a new hockey culture where people of all economic classes and races feel included. If not for moral reasons, then do it to make hockey more marketable to the masses. That was the video. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you want to get more videos and other content, please scroll down and look through all the videos. Trust me, we do good work. And also, until next time, I'll see you soon.